All right. Okay, so we are going to take a look at all of the topics that we're going to cover in our session today. So first, we're going to do we did our quick introductions, got our site, all our accounts all set up and into our demo section. So if you are having any issues, again, make sure you throw that in the chat. We want to make sure you are all set and ready to go. We are going to start with an overview of all our middle school course offerings. We have so many different modules and topics so that you can choose what would be best for your students. So we're going to take a look at all of those. Then we're going to hop into a full sample middle school lesson where you are going to be in the role of a student and Rachel will be in the role of the teacher, bringing you through a lesson where you are going to be able to get some tips and tricks on how you can bring CodeHS into your classroom in the most efficient way. Then we're going to look at a different lesson because we have so many different topics in our middle school courses, and you're going to be able to see how is this information best brought to your students, and how can you think of using these resources with those students. We're going to take a break at some point in there. It may be before the second lesson, just so you can stretch your legs, get some water. And then at the end, this is going to be new if you're someone who has been here for many of our workshops this summer. We want to make sure that we're giving you exactly what you need. So we're going to have an option at the end. You can come and look at some teacher tools and resources with me. But if you've been to these before, you've seen that section before, you know those tools, you could probably lead this session yourself. So then we're going to have some options. You can head into what we're calling the watering hole, where you can chat with other teachers, our curriculum developer, about any of these these topics and tools that you've seen and how you can best use those. So we're going to have that breakout room. And then if you've seen all these tools, you've seen all these resources, but you're like, I want to check it out for myself, we're going to have that another breakout room called the cave, where you can go and have some individual work time. And MR will be in there with you if you get stuck. If you have any questions, you'll be able to ask those. So we're really hoping that you are going to be able to choose where you want to be to best get the information that you came for. All right. So again, before we hop in, make sure you have that question parking lot open. You can throw any questions in there as we go. But we are going to get started with Linda giving us some information about our middle school courses.
All right. I'm so excited to be joining you guys. I was a middle school teacher for many years. I started as actually an elementary computer teacher and then transitioned to 7th and 8th grade. So Julia put together this awesome slide. I wanted to show you this research because it's really, really well done. This is research by Accenture and Girls Who Code, just basically showing the impact of really starting early with a computer science education. So you can see at the bottom there, the number of women working in computing today. And as opposed to the impact that starting in, let's say, junior high, high school, college could have, it could result in 3.9 million women working in tech. And really, if you look at it, that's more than double the amount, pretty much over triple, actually. Forgive me for my bad math. So the earlier they get exposed, the better. But I'm just going to show you something on a personal note. So I have this, it's a thank you note from one of my middle school girls from this past year. And I just wanted to read you this part because hopefully it'll help inspire you. She said, "Dear Miss Hahn, thank you so much for being my teacher this year. I've realized I have a passion for coding and web designing because of you. Wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you." And so you are going to receive things just like that from your middle schoolers, because truly a lot of the times they don't know what they want to do until they're exposed to that material. So as far as the middle school curriculum, our middle school is kind of a survey approach. So students are exposed to a lot of different types of courses, a lot of different types of languages, and they can then choose a pathway in high school that can be determined by, specific interests, whether that's more in the web design or the coding, or perhaps even cybersecurity. They can decide, based on what I really call the gateway courses, is just to expose them to a lot of different types of languages. So as far as CodeHS, we offer a couple of different modules, or actually first of all, our middle school curriculum format. Something really, really important for you to note is that there is nothing else you need to download. As far as middle school, everything is right there in CodeHS. And like Julia said, we're just here to make your life as easy as possible as you're setting up your courses this year. So they're completely web-based. They only need a web browser to be able to access their courses. They can be used as a quarter, semester, or year-long course. There are some modules that are self-contained topics, and depending on how you work, I know when I was a middle school teacher, I did teach semester-long courses, and then I had wheel courses. So I had some that I was actually, would have students only for 9 weeks, and then they'd transition to, the engineering teacher, and then I'd cycle through and come back with a different grade level. So I completely understand that these courses really need to be customizable for you. So each module in the lesson has a short video tutorial, slides for you to use if you choose to teach through the slides. There's quizzes, there's simulations, there's free response questions, there's activities and puzzles, there's challenges, and there's also examples for your students to draw from. So everything is kind of like a class in a box there for you, ready to go on the first day of school. As far as the modules, we have several different, as I said, we introduced them to a lot of different things. So there is an intro to programming with Carol the dog, and this helps students to really know, what it's like to not only have, a set of commands and come with a very small library, and then build out to a much bigger library of commands, kind of like training a dog, where they know these little pieces and then they just slowly begin to put those pieces together to do some new thing. Intro to Python with Tracy, probably one of my students' favorites, because Tracy actually builds not only in a grid world, but she can move around within her world and create all sorts of cool designs. And they do that using Python. My students actually, last year, we created drawings with Tracy the turtle that they then printed, and we created a class coloring book out of all of our Tracy drawings. It was very fun. There is a module called What is Computing, helps them to understand, what is a computer, what makes a computer, and so on. Web design is a great way to expose them to HTML and CSS, and that was from that card that I just read to you. That was one of my students' favorite modules, is just being able to see how websites actually get created. There's a digital information unit that you can also use to help students just understand at a granular level how everything kind of fits together, how bits and bytes work, and also, how color is created on the internet, and how those things are created digitally and then transformed into what you see on the computer. The internet unit allows them to see what networks do, how packets are sent back and forth, and they get a better understanding of not only what the internet is, but how it works under the hood. Digital citizenship, cyber hygiene, that's where we really dive more deeply probably than they would in elementary school into how to stay safe online, how to maintain a digital footprint, and also just a very brief introduction into cybersecurity. There is also a full cybersecurity module as well for middle school called Intro to Cybersecurity. As far as the courses, again, we have different packaged, so you saw the modules, but there's different ways that we've packaged them up. So you can either create a year-long course. If you teach a year-long course, Computing Ideas really encompasses a lot of those modules that you saw from that last slide. The World of Computing, Intro to the Internet, those also have some Carol the dog modules, but they also introduce the computing aspect of it, the digital information, and also the internet modules. Creative computing as well. Similarly, it will introduce a little bit of coding again with some digital information, internet unit, and then you have an intro to cybersecurity, and this one is strictly cybersecurity for students in middle school. So we have many semester-long offerings, but you can also always kind of create your own course depending on the requirements of your district, or if you're like me and you taught at a private school, you could literally choose kind of a pathway for your students that works best based on what you're going to be teaching in the high school level. So I'm going to hand it over to Rachel, who is going to be going through our sample lesson today.
Awesome. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, I just want to just reiterate how flexible our middle school curriculum is, and it's so great to hear from your personal experience, Linda. So thanks for sharing that. And so I'm going to hop into a sample lesson. So before we get into it, I do want to say that I'm going to ask you, as you participate, so you will be participating as a student, I want you to put on two kind of hats as you do this. So you'll have your student hat or your student lens. So what is it like to go through these activities as a student? And then I'm also going to ask you to put on your teacher hat. The goal is not necessarily for you to become an expert in Carol commands right now. It's more just to get a feel for the activities, as well as see how I approach the lesson. So kind of think through the kind of teacher moves that I use, how do I approach each different part of the lesson. And so as you're thinking through that, just kind of be a little bit meta. How would you approach it? Would you approach it similarly, differently? And at the end, I'll talk a little bit about the resources that I used on CodeHS to make it really easy for me to plan and execute this lesson, and also talk through some variations that you could apply to this lesson to teach it in a variety of different ways. Cool. Okay, so this is going to be in the Intro to Programming with Carol module. So this is, if you're teaching a full year course, the Computing Ideas course, this is the first module, and this is going to be the third lesson. So if you're unfamiliar with Carol, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We'll catch you up as we get started. This is a very kind of basic introductory lesson. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put on my teacher hat. So you're going to put on your student and teacher hat, and I'm going to ask you to participate as a student. All right, so here we go. We are going to get started with a do now. So in the chat, I want you to answer this question. So taking a look at this exercise that you created yesterday, right? Of course you did. So take a look at this program from yesterday. What commands does Carol know? You just throw these in the chat. And then what commands do you wish Carol knew? So as you were, creating this activity, coding this exercise, what do you wish you were able to tell Carol to do? So you can go ahead and throw those answers in the chat. Yes, we have a move command. Carol is excellent at moving. Thank you, Anthony. Carol knows a couple more commands. Can we get those in the chat? Yep, she knows how to put ball. Okay, cool. So we're kind of jumping to our conclusions, right? And so she knows how to put ball, but she doesn't know how to turn right. And so something that that you probably noticed as you were, working through this exercise is that you really wish you could tell her to turn right, but you weren't able to. And so just to kind of reiterate here, so Carol knows how to turn left. She knows how to move. She knows how to put down a ball. She also knows how to take a ball. That we don't see this in the exercise, but you learned that yesterday. But she doesn't know how to turn right. And so don't you wish she could? And the answer is you can. Carol can turn right. We just have to show her how to do that. And so that is what we are going to learn about in our lesson today. And Troy asked, can we check if there's a ball? That would be a really great thing that Carol knows how to do. And we can do that. And that is going to be in the future. So hold that thought, Troy. Excellent, excellent observation there. Okay. And so going into the slides here, so we're going to revisit our build a tower exercise that we looked at together yesterday. And so as you were working on this, similar to that pyramid Carol that we just looked at, we really wish that we could tell Carol to turn right, because all she needs to do is face the right, but we weren't able to do that because Carol doesn't know how to turn right. So instead, we had to give her these 3 turn left commands. So we had to type out 3 commands in order to have her do one thing to turn right. And so, as I've said before, as we're kind of exploring today, don't we wish Carol knew how to turn right? And she does with these really cool things called functions. And so we're going to learn about functions today. And the functions are the way that we teach Carol new words or teach her new commands. And so just to say that again, a function is a way to teach Carol a new word or to teach Carol a new command. And so we want to teach Carol how to turn right. So let's walk through what that looks like. And so in Carol, this is how we write a function. And so walk through each of these parts. So we're going to say this keyword function, and then we're going to say turn right. This is going to be the name of the function or the name of the command that we want to give Carol. So we want Carol to turn right. So we're going to name that turn right. And then everything that we want to go inside of this function, so everything that goes into turning right, like the recipe for turning right, is going to go inside these curly brackets. And that's going to be called the function body. Okay. And so that's kind of what the function looks like, but let's get some practice seeing what this looks like in the editor. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our example. I'm going to break really fast. So I am using break my teacher hat and put on my explanation hat. So I am using blocks today. So in the exercises in the demo course that you just enrolled in, I have given access to blocks. So those should be the default. Just to show you that, you know, if you're working with 5th or 6th graders who don't have a lot of typing experience, it might be good to start with blocks. Something that I do love about CodeHS is that our editor enables students to switch between blocks and text. So I can just go to switch to code view. And so if students are ready to start, you know, writing in text, you can easily give them the option to switch back and forth to practice between, to practice either typing or just using the blocks. So just want to quickly clarify that to give you some insight into some additional like middle school scaffolding that the Carol program has. I will say, so that does not necessarily apply to every single exercise. Their blocks aren't available in every single exercise, but they are available in all of the Carol exercises. I'm not available in Tracy. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to go back to my teacher hat and continue on. Okay, so here is our turn tower and turn right program that we were working on yesterday. And remember before, we had to give Carol these 3 turn left commands in order to get her to turn right. And so now we actually want to use a function to teach Carol that command. So what I'm going to do in the blocks, I'm going to go to this function section, and I'm going to pull over the block function block. I'm going to snap that into place. And then I'm going to name my function turn right. There we go, cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the blocks that are going to teach Carol how to turn right inside of my function. So I'm going to go back up to my commands, and then I am going to add 3 turn left commands here because in order to turn right, Carol needs to turn left 3 times. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to run this and let's pay attention to what happens. Okay, so notice how Carol did all the move, turn left, football. So she got to the top of the tower, but she didn't actually turn left. And this is because I have to actually give Carol the turn, or sorry, I didn't turn right. I have to give Carol the turn right command. So I'm going to go back to my function section here. And then I'm going to add this blue block, and I'm going to add it right above my function definition, or right above the purple block. And then I'm going to give Carol the turn right command by typing in turn right into that blue text here. Cool. Now let's run this and see what happens. All right, great, it worked. So we got Carol to turn right. Now something that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question here. So if you feel so inclined, you can answer in the chat, or if you want to unmute and answer out loud, also super great. So my question is to you. I'm going to walk through this code, and we're going to see, we really want to see what happens when we get to the turn right command on line 9. Okay, so we're here. And so what happens when I walk through this code, what is going to happen, or what happens when I give Carol the turn right command? So you can answer this in the chat or out loud. So what happened? When I gave Carol that turn right command, what happened? We'll do it one more time.
Mr. Vaney, I think it does what you defined it to do, like when you defined it in when you define the turn right function, like it does what you told it to do, like turn left, turn left, turn left.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Anthony. So what we see when we walk through the code is we're doing exactly what we give the function definition in our function definition. And so when you see the line highlights, it actually goes into our function that we wrote in order to do the turn right command. So this is something that's really important, right? If I just have 2 turn left in my function here, then Carol is going to think that turning left twice is the same as turning right. And we know that Carol needs to turn 3 times in order to turn left, right? So I'm going to add that turn left back. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question and then I'll give you all a chance to actually get coding. So what do you think will happen if I get rid of my function definition? What will happen if I get rid of that turn right function, but I keep my turn right command?
I'm
I'll
thinking.
get an error.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an error because you haven't defined it.
Yeah, exactly. So Troy, you're exactly right. Anthony, you're right. So there's going to be an error, right? And it's because I haven't defined it. And so let's actually see what that error looks like, just to, see what happens. I'm going to run it. It says Carol doesn't know how to turn right. And so then it does say Carol can turn left, but we also know there's another way to solve this, and that is by teaching Carol to turn right by adding our function definition here. Okay, cool. And so you have gotten some experience looking at what a turn right function looks like. And so now it is going to be your turn to see what it's like to give Carol this turn right command and kind of create a function on your own. And so what we're going to do is we are going to practice in groups. Not this yet, hold on, sorry. Okay, here we go. And so if you look at the workbook link number 4, or if you're in the demo course, this will be in lesson 1.3. We're going to go into our Collaborate sandbox. So if you haven't had a chance to see the CodeHS's Collaborate feature in the sandbox, it's my favorite thing. It's so much fun. It's basically working in a Google Doc. Like you're able to see each other's real-time coding and work together on a program, which is super cool. And so we are going to break you out into breakout groups. And in your breakout group, you will complete the exercise slide Carol, and just the definition or the directions say slide Carol exercise directions. Write a program to have Carol build a slide and then end up on the bottom right corner of the world. So you'll see what this looks like when you get into the actual sandbox. But this is, as MR just posted the workbook link again. So if you don't have that up, I go ahead and grab that. It's link number 4. And so we'll put you into breakout groups. You'll find the link associated with your group, and then you will work on this program. And then we will come back together and discuss. So Julia is setting up breakout groups.
Open your breakout rooms now. Yep, you'll just need to click the pop-up so that you can join your room. All right, here we go.
right, welcome back, everyone. So it seems like there were some issues with the Collaborate link, and I am so sorry about that. We're going to demo it because I think for some reason it might just be working for specific CodeHS people. So we are able to get it working on our end, and so I am going to demo it just so you get an idea, because it is really cool, and I promise it's an awesome feature that does work and offers some really great opportunities for students. So we are going to demo it, and as we demo this, I want you to be thinking about how this could impact students' learning and that type of thing. Okay, cool. So Julia is going to be a student with me in this classroom, and you can see, or in this sandbox program, and you can see that Julia is typing. You can see her little face here, and we can see her icon here. And so together we can work on this. And so we know that we want to get Carol to work diagonally down the screen. And she could say, what do we do next? And we can be talking about this. And so, okay, so I'm thinking we should probably, if Carol's gonna move, we need her to turn right. And so let's go ahead and write the turn right function. So I'll go ahead and do this first part. And then maybe Julia, do you wanna add in the commands that are gonna go into our turn right function? Sweet, yep, turn left, turn left. Turn left. Great. Okay, so now what we can do is let's give Carol this turn right function and see, let's go ahead and run that just to see what's going on here and making sure we're doing it right. Oh, shoot, I forgot to do something. So if we want her to move, we probably want her to put a ball first, right? Julia, can you add a put ball in, on line 1? So we probably want her to put a ball first. Yeah, great. Cool. Okay. And so if I run this, we can see that Carol's going to put ball, move, and then turn right. Cool. And so, and then we can keep going. So, we could say, okay, now that she needs her to move, and then we probably need her to put another ball. And so we can continue with this. But the cool thing about the Collaborate is that anytime Julia types, it shows up immediately on my screen. And so if we have some sort of syntax error, so if we forget the parentheses there, it's really great debugging, because oh man, it didn't work, right? So Julia, where do you see the error? I'm not quite sure what our problem is. So the debugging opportunity to talk through it with someone else is really helpful. And so just a really great opportunity to collaborate and give students the option to work on code together. It also, another cool thing about it is that it pushes students to see that there's a lot of different ways to solve this problem. So we said Julia wanted to move first and then turn right, but alternatively, we could have had Carol turn right and then go this way, right? And so one student may have said, oh, I'm gonna go this way, and another student may have said, I'm gonna go this way, or I wanna go this way, and both ways work. And so they can explore that discussion around creating a similar but different program as another option. Okay, so we'll pause there. We don't necessarily need to create the whole exercise, but that it really is easy. All you do, you create it yourself, and then you click share. And then there's a Collaborate link that you can share with students. So wanted to share that. I'm sorry you didn't get to experience it. We are gonna talk to our engineering team today to make sure that everything is going all right with that, but it is a really cool feature. Okay, going to check this real fast. Okay, great, so we will continue. Continue on. Okay, so now that you have had a chance to work through one of the exercises, together, you're gonna have a chance to do some on your own. And so what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and do the quiz. So the check for understanding Carol Can't Turn Right quiz and exercise 1.3.4 on your own. And so you're gonna go, these are links in the workbook number 5 and number 6. So these are exercises 1.3.2, 1.3.4. I'll give you about 4 to 5 minutes to do those on your own. You can head there if you're in the demo course that way, or you can head just by using the workbook links number 5 and number 6. So we'll do 5 minutes here just to give you a chance to get those done, and then we will come back together.
Okay, I think I did the wrong thing. Okay, I did the one, I think I did the tower and I did the check for understanding. So it automatically goes to the fireman Carol, right?
Yep, Fireman Carol.
Okay, it automatically goes there after you take the check for understanding, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I was making sure I was on the right one. Okay,
Yep, you got it. Thanks for checking.
okay.
Let's see, and it looks like I'll hyperlink exercise 6. Oh, and Mar, thank you for hyperlinking that. So that one is linked now if you need to get to Fireman Carol. We'll do about 3 to 4 more minutes here. If you're finished, you're welcome to continue exploring the demo course. Otherwise, we will just continue working on the quiz and Fireman Carol, and then we'll come back together in about 3 to 4 minutes.
And we're just going to add our break onto this. So once you're done, you can go take a break, go grab some water, stretch your legs a little bit, and we'll come back in about, let's say, 5 minutes.
All right, we'll come back together in like 20 seconds. So kind of come back after you finish your break, stretch your legs or whatever, and 20-second warning before we come back together. All right, cool. So continuing with the teacher hat here, your homework. Make sure that I'm in slides. Oh, we're gonna need the exit ticket. Sorry, we're gonna need the exit ticket, and then I will assign you homework. Okay, so go ahead and go to workbook link number 7, or if you're just in the demo course, you can go to the exercise titled exit ticket. And you are going to complete these 2 questions in a Padlet. So what is a function? Why are they helpful? And what were some problem solving strategies you used? So go ahead and head to the Padlet. You can add your answers just by clicking this plus button right here. And we will be able to kind of see each other's answers in the Padlet, which is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and go to the Padlet so we can see what people say. Yep, yeah. So a function is definitely defining a set of commands. Awesome answer there, Rebecca. And when it comes to narrating what's happening in the code, that is actually going to be a comment. And we haven't learned comments yet, and we will in a little bit. So hold that thought. And that's going to be a way for us to communicate just in regular words, not Carol commands, what a function or what's going on in our program. Yeah, testing it out. Oh, the small pieces. Yes, really great call there, right? That's going to help us find errors quickly if we're testing all of the time as we go. Yeah, and using peers, right? So, assuming that the collaborate works, or even if it didn't, are you still able to collaborate and talk to the people around you, or the people that your teacher has assigned you to answer questions there? Yeah, and the confidence piece, exactly, to know that you're on the right path. So that makes sure that you know exactly where Carol is, you know what the next step is. That's a really, really good point there. Okay, great. And so we are going to go ahead and go back over here. Thank you for participating in the Padlet. Thank you for your patience with how slow my computer is being. Great. And then your homework, if you were students, I'm going to assign you this really great handout, Carol Can't Turn Right, just to get a little bit more practice with the turn right function and defining functions and things like that. And so this is going to be a piece of paper. So I'm going to pass it out to each of you, and you will complete it for homework, and we can talk about it tomorrow when you come back to class. Okay, so I'm going to take my teacher hat off and now talk a little bit about the different resources that I use to create this lesson. So first of all, I use the slides, so we can see that instead of watching the video, you have access to the slides as a teacher, and so I walk through the slides. So that's a really great resource that you can use if you want to kind of make it your own in that sense. I used a handout, so the homework was a handout, and so that's a resource that teachers have. And then I also use, if I was grading student work, I would use the answer key here as well for guidance. And then one of my favorite things is I did look at the lesson plan to pull do now questions, as well as the exit ticket question, that first question. Those were questions that I pulled directly from the lesson plan that make it really easy to plan the lesson there. The lesson plan and most of these resources are available to pro teachers. So if you don't have access to that, no worries. You still have access to the solutions, which is super important as a teacher there. Okay, and so just some quick discussion around lesson variations and different ways that you could approach this. So for the video, you can have students watch it individually in class or for homework. I taught through the slides. That's one way to do it. And then another thing you could do is, as a teacher, watch the video together and then just kind of like pause it every now and then to ask a question to make sure students are following along, or emphasize something that you think is really important. With the example, you could have students explore on their own. You could also do it with students. So what I did is I kind of started with some of it, and then we added some together. And then we also explored it as a class. So just kind of like taking things away, seeing what happens, ask like, what do you think will happen if, is a great way to kind of explore that example as a class. And then the exercises, you could have students do them together. You can have them do them individually, some of them together, some of them individually. So that's a really great, there's just a lot of different ways to approach how you do the exercises. And then with the lesson opener and closer, the discussion questions and the lesson plan are great. You could also use the video quiz as a closer, kind of like as a formative assessment. That's another way that you can use the quiz. That's that I know that a lot of teachers like to do it that way. And then you can use the worksheets and things like that as a closer as well, if that's an option for you. So a lot of different ways to teach the lesson. That's the cool thing about the curriculum at CodeHS, is that you can do things in a lot of different ways. One last thing that I do want to say is, so this exit ticket, this Padlet, was an activity that I added. So this is not in the CodeHS curriculum. So something that you can do in CodeHS, which is a pretty new feature that's really awesome, is that you can add your own activities and websites and like things like that into your curriculum. So you don't have to have students go somewhere else to do something. You can add it into CodeHS as an activity, which is pretty cool. Okay, cool. And so what we're going to do now is I've kind of demoed one way to approach a lesson. That was a programming lesson. And as Linda pointed out at the beginning, is that there's a ton of different modules and different types of lessons and different types of content for our middle school students. And so we're going to totally pivot away from programming and go into a digital citizenship lesson that I'm going to have you kind of think through how you would teach it. And so this is going to be in the digital citizenship and cyber hygiene module. And there are 9 lessons in here. You're just going to look at the first one. So 9.1, digital footprint and reputation. So this is workbook link number 9, there. And so you are going to take a look at this lesson. There are 7 exercises, 7 activities within this lesson. And so go ahead and take a look at each of them. You don't have to like do all of them, but as you approach them, just take a look at them, read through them, think about how would you approach each part of this lesson. What would you do as a class? What would you do in pairs, in groups, individually, for homework? All of the different ways that you can approach different parts of the lesson. And then maybe, is there anything that you would want to add, right? And so there's a way to do that in CodeHS that's really great. Is there an article or something that you think would be a really great supplement to this lesson, things like that? And so I'm going to give us like 5 to 10 minutes to just kind of go through these activities on your own, just be thinking through those, how would you approach it, that type of thing. And then we'll break out into groups and you'll have a chance to discuss some of your great ideas with other middle school teachers. So we'll come back together. We'll start with 7 minutes and see how that goes. So 12, 14, and then so 12, 14, review on your own, and then we'll come back together. And thanks, MR posted that link in the chat if you need help finding it. about a minute or so left. If you have not had a chance to look at the social media cleanup example, I encourage you to make sure you have a chance to look at that last activity. It's one of my favorite activities in the digital citizenship module. So make sure you get to that one if you haven't had a chance to, and we'll come back together in like 1 minute. All right, okay, so you've had a chance to take a look at the different activities that are part of this lesson. And so now so thinking through how you might approach it. So we're gonna break up into groups to just learn from each other. So y'all can talk through how you would approach each one. And so something that you can do so that we can collect all of the awesome ideas that are gonna come out of each group discussion, you can add to the Padlet. So this is workbook link number 10. So it's the next activity in that lesson. And so I think it's like synthesis, the title of it is something like that. And you can add to this Padlet about how your group or different ways your group would approach the video, the quiz, the building a positive footprint, digital footprint activity in free response. And so you can have a chance to collect ideas, and that way we can share with everyone else that we are, everyone else at the workshop. And so we'll spend about 10 minutes in our breakout groups. And so we'll come back together at about 12:25. And then we will continue on with some of the great things that the middle school curriculum at CodeHS has to offer. So breaking into groups, head to workbook link number 10, and you can fill out the Padlet as your group discusses. See you in 10. All right, welcome back. Give a couple more seconds to get everyone back with us. All right, great, welcome back. I hope you were able to have some great conversations in your group around how different ways to approach each part of the lesson. Every group of students is different, every school is different. So I highly encourage you to kind of make the CodeHS curriculum your own and think through what is the best way to approach it for your specific group of students and things of that nature. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation looking through the curriculum. I did want to show you just a couple of different other additional activity types. So we looked at a programming with Carol activity type. We looked at a digital citizenship activity, but there are a lot of other activity types as we talked about. So we have the web design, the HTML and CSS activities. We also have digital information, so thinking through like the bits and hexadecimal and binary and that type of thing. And so I did just want to show you what those look like. So this is an example of an activity that is an HTML activity. And so this is a block version, however, students can do it in text too. And so within HTML, they learn very basic things. So nothing too crazy with HTML, but they do learn how to do lists and unordered lists and ordered lists. They learn how to add links, how to add images to a web page. And so this is just an activity that they do where they create a list of all of their favorite things. So a simple activity, but also students are like creating a web page in every activity, which is pretty cool. So an example there. And then they're also, this is one of my favorite, the pixel images I think is really cool, where they can input the hexadecimal, the or RGB value for a color and play around with it and see how the different values are impacted and what color actually appears here. And so they can kind of play around with it. So they turn everything all the way on, they'll get white. If they do all zeros, they'll get black. And so they learn about kind of what the different numbers mean and values mean and are able to create pixel colors on the screen, which is really cool. And then the last but not least, I wanted to show you, this is another exercise. That's a really great bridge for math, thinking about, we use the, a base 10 number system. However, and computers use binary and hexadecimal is base 16. And so there's a lot of different math connections to make, but this is just a game that students play where they can turn on the different binaries, or they can flip between ones and zeros to find different hexadecimal values. So if they're looking for 6, they can see that 0110 is the binary version of 6. So just like play around with that and explore different number systems and how that connects to computers and pixels and bits and all of those things. So just really understanding what computers do and the language that they speak is a really cool thing that students can explore in some of the middle school curriculum. I just wanted to make sure I showed you some of those different activity types, because I do think that's one of my favorite thing about the middle school curriculum is that there are so many different activities for students to do and explorations for them to look at in order to fully get an understanding of what all computer science really is. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass it over to Julia to get us started with the last portion of our workshop today.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to hop into our last activity here. And let me just get these directions up for you so you can see here. We are going to allow you now to choose where you want to be. So we want this time to be as helpful for you as possible. So I don't know if you have heard of this type of an activity or used one in your classroom this year. I know I did when we were having all switching over to virtual and having to find ways to allow students to work in the way that they feel best. So we have 3 different areas where you're going to be able to choose. You can hang out at the campfire, and that's where I am going to be going through our teacher tools and resources If you have attended other PD workshops, this is going to be this section that you have probably seen before. So you can totally choose a different place to be so you can get some more information. But if you have never been to a workshop with us, this is a really good place to go to see all the tools and resources that are available on CodeHS and an overview of where you can find all of those. We also have the watering hole, and this is going to be a great spot for you to chat with other teachers about their experience. Have they used CodeHS before? Have they been teaching computer science in middle school? What questions do you have that you just want to bounce off with other teachers who are in a similar scenario to you? And Rachel, our curriculum developer, is going to be in that room as well. So if you are like, you know, I really want to do this, but I'm wondering how it's going to work with this other module I need, you know, she's a great person to also give you information and answer some of those questions. So this is a great spot to go if you want to chat with other teachers and with Rachel today. And our last breakout room is going to be the cave. And this is where you can go and explore some things on CodeHS. We have given you a lot to look at. Maybe you want to dive deeper in some of those modules that we've talked about and see how you can get your class set up and customize your course so that it includes those modules you are thinking of teaching to your students. So MR is going to be hanging out in that room as well. So if you do have questions, she'll be there to answer those. But we do want this to be a space where you can kind of independently work. You have that time set aside where you can work on getting your classes all set up, your sections all set up, and doing some research so that you're prepared for next year. MR will still also be monitoring that parking lot. So in any of these rooms that you're in, if you do have a question that comes up, you can always put it into that parking lot, and we are going to be continuing to answer those questions there. So I'm going to open our breakout rooms, and you'll see at the top of this slide, it's a little weird how you join breakout rooms because we're giving you the choice. You're not going to be placed into, you know, the watering hole or the cave. You can choose where to go. So I'm going to open these breakout rooms now. And so now you should see everyone is going to be in this main room, which is going to be the campfire. So if you want to stay and learn about the tools and resources, stay here. You don't have to go anywhere. But if you would like to go to the watering hole or to the cave, you can see on your participants tab, you should see watering hole and cave at the bottom of that section with a 0 next to it. You can hover over that 0 and it will switch to a button that will allow you to join that breakout room. So if you are having any issues finding that, let us know. We can definitely help you out. But in about 3 minutes, we're going to get started doing our teacher tools and resources so everyone can start heading into the rooms that they want to be. If you're having any issues, write them in the chat, and we will come back together with about 5 minutes left to just do our final closing of our session today. If you can't figure out how to get into your breakout room, if you wanted to go to the watering hole or the cave, just let us know in the chat so we can help you out. And Rachel and MR are going to head in there so that they're ready to meet you in the watering hole and the cave. Awesome. So I see some people moving in there. If you do need any help, if you can't figure that out, just let me know in the chat. I know that this is a different way of going into breakout rooms, and not everyone may not have used this this on Zoom so far. I can also move you directly to one of these if you would like to do that as well. So just let me know in the chat and I can get that going. So Sarah, you're in the campfire, you're here. So we're gonna get started in just a bit with our tools. If you did want to do something else other than see our tools, then just let me know. Then you can move to that watering hole or cave. But awesome. We're going to get started in just 1 minute. I just want to make sure that everyone that would like to go to a different room is able to. All right, so we're going to get started taking a look at our tools. Again, if you just can't, you haven't been able to figure that out, write it in the chat and I will make that happen for you. But we're going to get started looking at these tools and resources that we have on CodeHS and how you can use those to best make your classroom work the way that you want it to. So first thing that I want to let you know is that you are going to receive these slides, and in this slide deck, you're going to see all of these images and some information about how to use these tools that we're going to look through. But instead of going through the slides that you'll see and be receiving later, I am going to hop over to our site and show you on our demo course. All right, so here we have our main page. So if you have never used CodeHS before, or you just made your account, you may be seeing this page for the first time. You may not have any sections right here yet. But as you create sections and courses to use with your students, you're going to see those populate here, and they'll be broken up by year. So the difference between sections and courses, a course is the actual content that students are going to be learning. So this might be the cybersecurity course, it might be the Intro to Carol course, or it might be a course that you have customized to bring multiple modules together for your students. But you can create multiple sections of those courses. So you'll see here, for me, I have 2 Intro to JavaScript sections. So this might be period 1 and this might be period 2. So I would have my students join those sections based on where I want them to be. Once we click into a section, and you'll see I have a lot of tabs loaded up here ready to go, because we are going to be going through lots of tools very quickly today. And we don't want to waste any time on having things load. But if you are totally new to CodeHS, and I know some of you are, I don't want you to leave this feeling overwhelmed. I want you to be able to just see all the possibilities. There are so many different things that you can do. And so if I touch on a tool that you want more information about, write that in the parking lot, and we have a lot of different ways that we can get you additional information and resources. But I also want to let you know that you have a lot of other opportunities to learn on your own about these tools. And one of them is going to be a new CS teacher workshop that we're going to have going on next week. So I highly recommend that. If you have not used CodeHS before, this is a really good way for you to get an overview of all of this stuff without, feeling a little bit bombarded. All right, so let's take a look at our first section of tools. So once we click into one of our sections, you'll see a page that looks like this. And until students join it, it will be empty. This will say 0 students, and you'll have to get those students to join there. But the information and the way that students join your section is the exact same way that you joined our demo course today. So you'll send them your unique link, and your code will be there as well. And your code is in a bunch of different spots, so you can always make sure you have that available for students to join. And your students will get populated here on your main roster page. There's a bunch of cool tools here and a lot of different ways that you can customize your course the way that you want, but I'm going to focus on 3 tools on this main page. So the first one I want us to look at is announcements. This is a pretty new tool. I think it is new from this year. So this tool allows you to add an announcement to that section of students, and you can choose which section you want. So I can say, like, don't forget your homework is to complete 3.1.1, right? This always happens to me at the end of the class period. The bell rings and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you about this. So this is a really good way to make sure that information gets to your students. And once you publish it, they will see a banner pop up on their screen when they log into CodeHS, getting that information. And as you send these announcements, you have a way right here to track which announcements you have already sent to your students. So you know exactly when they should have that announcement is available to them. All right. Another way to communicate with your students is this conversation tool. And this you'll see exists on your whole list of students, depending on who you want to check in with. So if I wanted to check in with Emma, I would click on that conversation tool with Emma. And I could say, like, I know you were absent last class. Do you want to come see me at lunch, right? I can send that to Emma, and she will then be able to reply once that pops up on her screen. She'll be able to reply back to me, and I will get notified about that. So this is a really good way for you to chat with one specific student about just checking in with them that is not linked to any specific part of our course. It's just a general conversation with that student. We also have our attendance tool. So this attendance tool is really helpful for you to check where everyone is and how much time they've spent on CodeHS. So once you click into attendance, it will go right to that current day, and you'll see when they first logged in, what their timestamp was for their recent activity, and how much time they've spent total on the site today. You can also click into weekly attendance, and you'll just get an overview. Did Emma log in on Wednesday? Did Noah log in on Thursday, right? And this is a really good overview of just seeing, are your students working when you're expecting them to? So that's a good way to track them there. Now, I'm going to hop into a bunch of other tools that we have available up in this top bar or on this left side. But I always get questions as we're going through these tools about pro versus free. And I just want, our goal here in this workshop is not to sell you pro, it's to show you what is available. And a lot of teachers use CodeHS free for a long time before they are able to get access to pro tools. And I want you to have all of that information up front. So I want to show you this all tools section here. So if you go into more, all tools, and it says advanced because we just don't want this to scare you, this page of information. Once you get here, you'll see all the tools we have available, what category it's in, a quick description, the status, which is really helpful because we're constantly creating new tools. So you'll see anything yellow means it's in beta, right? We're trying that out. We're still going to be working to make it better. So that's really helpful to know. And then you'll see what plan that tool is associated with. So all of these tools here are on the free plan, and I have a check mark because my account has access to those tools. It will tell me right here if it's a tool that I don't have access to. And a really, really great thing about this page is that you can get help articles and video demos right here for each of those tools that you're interested in. So if you're like, I know that you talked about the course catalog, but how do I actually use it? What can I do there? You can get your help article or your video demo right from this main page. And a lot of people always ask, well, how do I actually find out how much it would be for pro? From this page, you can also submit a request to get a demo, or you can let us know some information about your scenario, and we'll have someone contact you with some information about that pricing for you. All right, so just wanted to show you this all tools page before we hop into those actual tools. And that again can be found from more, all tools advanced, or you can also find it, sorry, my toolbar is in the way, in the toolbox as well if you go to view full toolbox. All right, so let's hop into the first course settings tool. That is a really great way to start customizing your course. So this due date and access controls, I'm gonna hop in here. And again, this was from course settings. So here you'll see your entire course. So for me, my course is Intro to JavaScript. So it's all the modules in this course. I can expand each module to see every lesson in that module. And I can expand even further to see every individual activity. So you have so much, so you can customize this the way that you want, right? You have total control over when your students see these things, when they're due, if they can see them, how they can access them. All of that is on this page. So this assigned setting here will say if that module will even show up in your student's course. And there are a few reasons why you may want to unassign something. So for example, this Programming with Carol is a really good introduction to computer science for students that have never seen it before. But say I know that a student, maybe I taught them last year, or I know that they've already gone through this content and they don't need to start at that basic level. So I can unassign that entire module and students won't even have it show up on their course list. So this is really good because they're not confused about where to go. It's just completely gone. They won't have access to that at all. That's a little bit different from our access controls. So here, if a module or a lesson or activity is available, students can click in and start working on that right away. If it's locked, that means they still see that that item is there, but it has a padlock and they can't click into it. So they know at some point they will probably be completing this content, but not yet. And this is a really good way to make sure that they are focused on exactly what you want them to be focused on at that time. And you can also schedule this. So you might say, I want to work on Programming with Carol module for the first month. And then after that first month, I want it to be done. I want us to start working on our Carol. So I can then move over to our Carol challenges and schedule this for, that second month to open at that time. So then I don't need to come back into this page. Once I'm ready to have students access it, it will automatically open for them at the start time and close at the end time. So you may tell students, I want you to work on Carol challenges for 1 week, and it will open at the beginning of that week. It will close at the end of that week. And now, you told them that was when they needed to be completing this module. You can also set a due date right here. So that will flag anything that students send to you that is after that due date. So that's a really helpful way for you to keep track of all these different things. Now, you also can change these settings for each individual student. And this is an amazing differentiation tool. So if you open your all students, you can hop into one specific student. So if I do that, I will see, here's my settings for just Emma. And I will see what is assigned to her. Again, I can do it on a lesson level, on an activity level, assign those items. And you'll see here, there's also some additional items. So one thing that, especially in middle school, is really helpful is allowing blocks for some students, but maybe not for others. You might have a student that is, totally brand new to coding, and you want them to be able to start with blocks. But then as students gain confidence and start understanding the content, then you might want to force them to now use text. You want to say, you're ready. I'm going to turn blocks off for you so that you are ready to type your commands with text. And that's a really good way to push them from their foundational content and getting some confidence into then being able to type in their commands using that text tool. You can also prevent copy and paste for some students, depending on how they are using or abusing that privilege of copying commands from one place to the other. So you have a lot of control here to do exactly what you want with your class or on a individual student level. All right, we're going to now hop into our progress tracking tools. So up here, if we go to progress, or on the left side, we have progress as well. You can view progress in a bunch of different ways. I'm just going to get us to take a look at our assignment progress. So if I click into assignment progress, you'll see all of the content in this course. And you'll see kind of a heat map using this color key. So if you hover over our key, you'll see exactly what each color means. And you can then see where your students are in completing the activities in your course. This is a really good way of just knowing, are they on track? Do you need to check in with them? A lot of teachers use CodeHS in a kind of semi-self-paced way. So instead of telling every student just go and finish the course, you could say, maybe I want you to, you have a month to work on module 1. And some students might be on activity 3, some students might be on activity 10, but they're all working on that module. And so you can use this assignment progress tracker to see, are students making progress? Are they going through that content that you expect them to? And do you need to go in and help them a little bit? Another way to view your student progress through the course is in our gradebook. So if I hop into our gradebook here, you're going to see those same colors, which the key is the same as our progress tool, but now we have the actual point value. You can see what type of assignment that is, how many points that assignment's worth, and you can go into your configure tools to change all of those as well. But this is there's one way that you can use this gradebook that I don't think many teachers know about that's really helpful. So all of these activities at the top are hyperlinked. And if I click in, say I want to grade my short stack, I can see that all my students have sent it in and I need to grade it. So if I go into short stack here, I will be brought to this page that gives me a lot of information about just this one activity. So it tells me when they submitted this activity, how much time they each spent on it. And then I can hop right into fast grade from here, which is one of the ways that you can grade in CodeHS. So if I hop into fast grade, now it gives me just that assignment, that short stack for all of my students. So all of their submissions are going to be right here. I can grade it right here, give them a score, give them feedback, and then it will bring me to the next one. And this is really helpful because I know when I'm grading, I want to grade one assignment back to back to back. I want the same one to be coming up, so because I already have that answer in my head. So this going in through the grade book is one way to make sure that you're only seeing that one assignment when you're grading it. But there's other ways to grade. So if we go to review on the top or code review over here on the left-hand side, you'll see a page where you have anytime a student has sent you a message, they're like, I'm not sure how to get this to work. You can hop in and have a conversation with them, maybe help them out to get them to make some progress there. You'll also see all of the assignments that students have submitted here. So you can go into fast grade from here, but if, maybe Emma worked really good on Tuesday and submitted a bunch of different assignments, this is only going to be filtered through the time that it was submitted. So if you hop into fast grade here, you'll just see all of the different submissions based on when they were submitted, and you'll be able to grade back to back to back all of those. We also have grade mode, which is a free tool. So anyone on CodeHS can use our grade mode tool. And this will bring you into a page that looks like the editor, where you'll see the student's code. You'll be able to run it right here. And this grade tab is where you'll have all of those same tools and ways that you can give feedback and a score, same as you saw in our fast grade. All right, and we only have a few more minutes, so I'm just going to show you two more different places where you can find a lot of awesome info. So resources on the left-hand panel, if you go to resources, this has a lot of those things that Rachel had touched upon earlier. So the lesson plans are here, problem guides, handouts. You can find the syllabus here. We also have resources for the first week of school, solutions. So solutions are available to anyone. You will have all of the solutions for the entire course, regardless if you're free or pro. Lesson plans, problem guides, and handouts. You're going to be able to see the first 5 lesson plans, problem guides, handouts for each course on the free version. And after that, those resources become pro. So just want to let you know that. And our last thing, as you're going to start looking for courses, if you click onto my courses, at the bottom, you'll see the course catalog, and that will bring you here where you can look up any course that you want. You can filter by the language. You can look at middle school courses versus high school. So this is a really awesome page here. And if you have any questions, you need any help, in our toolbox, we have this full section with a bunch of different ways you can contact us. So if you need direct help, you have a specific question for you, right here, you can send us a message. Knowledge base is a really good place for you to get information about any tool or anything on our site. It's a really great FAQ area, so you might be able to find your answer right there without having to wait for an email back from us. All right, so that was a lot. I'm gonna bring everyone back into our main room. So let me close those. And we want to finish up with our last set of resources for you. So I'm gonna hop back over here. Awesome. Okay, so we have everyone back here. Hopefully you guys were able to have some time to look at these resources on your own, or talk about some of these other options with other teachers in our session now. These last links are available on your workbook, so you'll see those there. We have a CodeHS certified educator program. If you have been teaching with CodeHS for a while, definitely send us a message in the parking lot. We can get you more information about how to apply for that group. We also have a CodeHS Facebook group, which is really great place for you to constantly be in communication and ask questions with other people teaching CodeHS courses. We have a few more workshops that are going to be led this summer, and we also have teacher-led workshops. We have a teacher trainer program, and they have a lot of really good resources. So definitely check out the other workshops that we have going on this summer and throughout the rest of the school year. We have a survey that would be awesome if you could fill out. We would love your feedback. We always are trying to alter our sessions so that they are most helpful for you. Switching up our tools section to allow you to get information in other ways was just directly because people wrote that in our feedback. So we are constantly looking at that and trying to improve these sessions so that you can get everything you're looking for. And the very last thing, if you are looking for a certificate of completion for attending our session today, you can head right here. And this is just going to ask you for your name and your email. You should expect to receive this either the end of today or early tomorrow. And if you didn't receive it and you did fill out the form, it's probably because there's a typo in your email. So make sure that you double check that and we can get that information to you. All right, thank you everyone so much for joining us. And we hope to see you at another workshop that we're gonna have for the rest of the summer or throughout this year. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. It really was great.